to the RutPOP podcast. I am not Brandon Rutledge, and he is not Zach Rutledge. We are opposite day to day.
Opposites.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm spectacular. We are doing our first ever live stream.
Oh, this is live?
This is live.
Oh, wow.
I hope.
I'm not prepared for this.
I hope you wore pants.
Yeah, I mean, they're short pants, but...
They're short pants?
Yeah, they're pants.
They're short pants. Welcome to the clubhouse. This is where we do this every single time, and I think we've discussed this before. It does kind of have a Buffalo Bill vibe to it. There is a hole over there where we're asking somebody to please put the lotion on the skin, or else they will get the hose again. So it's not the prettiest of rooms by any means, but hey.
It works.
It works. All we need are our
soundproofing.
Yeah, I mean we got all kinds of fun stuff in here. Lots of popcorn above us, which is always cool. And so it's doable. It's doable. I'm bringing up my notes because I forgot to bring my iPad down here. See, this is what happens when we go live. I'm not prepared.
Yeah, I'm not either. I've got just like a pile of junk right here beside me. What's
sad is that we did not do this with beer.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
That was awful. That was an awful decision.
Yeah.
That was a horrible decision. Actually, frankly, what's funny is like there's nothing special about this particular podcast. Frankly, from my perspective anyway, like I don't have anything spectacular to talk about. You know what? While we're thinking about spectacular, let's talk about the fact that our last podcast about film scores blew up. That was incredible. The responses we got from that one.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Being shared all across the film score community and stuff. It was super cool. And again, I spent half the time not being able to pronounce half the names of the people that I thought I knew.
Right.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And they retweeted us.
Right. Yeah. That was, I mean, I'm telling you, it was very super cool. To do that. And again, to me, it's there is a niche out there for people that love film scores and appreciate what film scores can do, where they're not just background noise, right?
It's true. And Hans Zimmer was one of the guys who retweeted us. And I was amazed that he's like on a touring rock band. Yeah, Hans Zimmer and like the RC
or something. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was.
But yeah, that was awesome.
Lauren Balfe retweeted us as well. We talked about him, and he gave us some love and liked the podcast. And
he was the one that started in video games, right?
He started in video games just like Giacchino did, and which was funny because again, Lauren is again one of my favorites working today. Completely butchered his name in the podcast. I called him Balfe, and it's Balfe. And I'm just like, I feel awful.
Sorry, Mr. Balfe.
I feel awful. Awful. It's awful.
We'll do our homework next time.
Awful. Yeah. It's not even that. I have, for whatever reason, I've always had a problem pronouncing names.
Right.
I always have. Right. I used to call Angelina Jolie Angelina.
Angelina?
Why?
I don't know. You had to.
You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Jesus.
Are you a dyslexic or something?
There's something. It's some kind of weird disorder where I cannot pronounce people's freaking names, and I don't know why that is.
That's awesome.
But anyway, you know what? It was actually one of the things we talked about on that was my love for the Tron Legacy soundtrack that Daft Punk did. Yeah. And to me, I felt like they were robbed at the Academy Awards. Don't get me wrong. Trent Reznor did a great job with Social Network. It was really good. I just felt like that they did more for their film. So San Diego Comic-Con is happening right now, but they're doing like the home edition or whatever, right? Because nobody can freaking go anywhere. And so
could you imagine doing that social distancing?
No.
Sir, can you sign this? I can't get it through the glass.
Right. Yeah. No. Sorry. And one of the panels that they were doing had who was on that panel? It was a few different directors. Robert Rodriguez was one of them.
Nice. He's doing Star Wars, isn't he? Mandalorian.
Robert Rodriguez was he tapped to do a new episode of Mandalorian season 2?
He's doing season 2 Mandalorian.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. Everything about that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Trevorrow was on the same panel.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to try to remember how to pronounce this guy's name because it'd be awful. But the guy that directed Tron Legacy, Kowalski.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway,
I have no idea.
He was on the panel and he was talking about what it took for him to get Daft Punk to even do it, right? To do the film, and how Disney wanted. They were kind of skeptical about it a little bit, but even Daft Punk was like, maybe we can't handle it all on our own, because what they had decided was that it was going to be a hybrid of electronica and orchestral. Right.
Yeah.
And so there was an original plan for them to team up with Hans Zimmer and do it like that, or Desplat, right? Like one of those two. Yeah, one of those two was going to team up with them to do the score for Tron Legacy, right? And instead, after some meetings with the filmmakers and Disney, everybody kind of decided that these guys, including them, because again, they were one of the ones that were kind of pushing for maybe we need the help because they had never done anything like it before. And but even after these meetings and they did some samples, there's a bug flying through here.
Nice.
Hello.
I hope it lands right on the lens.
Right there. Sidebar. So one of the gigs that I do, there's several POV cameras in this thing. And for the Mikamoto auctions, and one of them is an auctioneer cam, and I have a great video clip of a giant ass spider crawling over that lens in the middle of an auction. It's fantastic. Freaks me out every time I watch it, but it's awesome. But they did some sample music for Disney, and then and everybody decided, including them, that we could handle this on our own. But the director came out today and said there is so much already composed, recorded music that never hit the film that they're hinting at the idea of doing an expanded new album with just Tron music.
Nice.
Please, God, yes. Can we make that happen?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I really like their last album that they did. I don't think it's their latest one. I think it's the one before that. But they kind of, over the course of the album, they tell the story of kind of how like synthesizer music came about.
Yes,
like the story of like Giorgio Moroder and stuff like that.
I've got a record of that, and I listen to it all the time.
What's the name of that album? I completely forget.
Love something. Shoot.
Sorry.
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up electronica again, because one of my favorite movies, Apocalypse Now, has a synthesizer score.
Okay.
So I'm into different kinds of scores.
Random Access Memories.
Random Access. Yes.
God,
I love that album. It tells
love something.
It tells the story of how like synthesizer music began and started and became like in the club scene in Europe, and how it kind of spread over the world.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting album.
Right.
But I just wanted to throw that out there that I am a fan of like electronica and synthesizer scores.
I think they're great. I think they're great. They're again, you think back to when middle 80s, when synthesizers, when Vince DiCola was, that was his bag, baby.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we didn't bring up is Rocky.
Well, God, yeah,
I love the music from Rocky. That's one of the most iconic characters from those movies is the music.
Right.
They're Gonna Fly Now.
Well, that was, we talked about that before, how we never brought up Rocky when we were going through our month-long movie list, which I thought was interesting, that neither one of us went to a Rocky movie there, when, a Rocky 4 is like great soundtrack.
It is.
And that's probably, honestly, that could have been one of those ones where I enjoy the soundtrack more than I enjoy the movie.
One of my film professors, when I was going to IU, he actually... He brought this up multiple times, that in his opinion, Rocky 3 was the greatest American movie ever made.
This is the one with Mr. T, right?
Yeah, the one with Mr. T.
Okay,
Rocky 3. And The Dark Knight Returns is basically like the same story as Rocky 3.
Treat your mother right. Treat her right.
But it's just a classic story of losing and then regaining what you lost.
Right.
So yeah, in his opinion, it's the greatest American film ever made.
Mickey dies in 3, right?
Yeah.
And then Creed dies in 4. Is that the way it went down?
Yep, Creed dies in 4.
Gotcha.
At the hands of Drago.
Gotcha.
Ivan Drago.
Very cool. I mean, it wasn't cool that Creed died, but I mean, think about it. If Creed hadn't died, we wouldn't have the Michael B. Jordan movies.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I liked how they brought Dolph Lundgren back in the latest Creed movie. That was interesting.
I enjoyed that latest Creed movie, man. Here's the thing. I am a sucker for Rocky movies. I think I've enjoyed every single freaking one of them,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fifth one's kind of hard to watch.
Fifth one's tough.
But when he brought it back with Rocky Balboa, that was amazing. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
What they've done with the Creed movies has just been spectacular.
Yeah.
That director
Coogler did.
Ryan Coogler.
Oh my God, what he did with that, and then obviously he went to Black Panther. I was just like, good God.
And I also liked what he did with Fruitvale Station.
I never saw that.
But yeah, Fruitvale Station, Creed, and then onto Black Panther. It's just an amazing string of movies for any director.
Give that man any money he wants to let him do whatever he wants. He is so freaking talented. The way he can visualize the way the camera needs to move, and I know the cinematographer has a lot to do with that to help, but part of it starts with his vision. And he carried some of that one shot type feel all the way into Black Panther, and where they went through the bar fight scene or the casino fight scene, where it started like at one level, then went up to another level, and went back down to the same level, all in one take. Oh my God! I mean, some of that camera movement is just phenomenal, which then leads into a great car chase.
Right.
Even Black Panther for him was a personal story. Like, it wasn't just a comic book movie for him, right? And it was the same way with Creed, where that was a personal story for him. That he didn't come back for the second one because he didn't really feel like he had anything else to say with those characters, which is fine. Again, the second one was still good. I still really enjoyed the second one. I liked the first one more. And but again, pay that man whatever the hell he wants. I know he's coming back for Black Panther 2, but I don't know when the hell that's coming out.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because Fruitvale Station is a very personal story as well.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan plays just like an everyday regular guy, and is based on a true story. But at the end of the movie, he's killed by police in a subway station in Los Angeles. And that's a true story that actually happened. So, I mean, it's a very important movie to watch for our times right now. If you can find it, I highly recommend it. Which is another thing I wanted to bring up tonight. Another important movie that I watched recently that I feel like is important for our times is The Five Bloods, Spike Lee's latest movie on Netflix.
Oh, it's on my radar. I haven't seen it yet.
It is absolutely incredible. Like, highly recommended. Best movie of the year.
Again, just these streaming networks coming out, like being able to talk, filmmakers like that into coming and giving them their properties. It's incredible.
Yeah,
and we need it right now because there's no other outlet for any of this stuff. You got so many movies sitting on the shelf that can't come out, while you have things like Netflix and Amazon, for that matter, being able to push these movies out. And that was already planned before this ever happened. Most of them, anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie is so relevant right now.
Sure.
To what's going on right now with the Black Lives Matter movement and the police brutality.
Right.
It's so important. And there's no way Spike Lee knew that we were going to be striking and tearing stuff down and rioting and there's no way he could have known that, but it's so vital that people watch this movie right now.
Right. I'll definitely be checking it out. Like I said, it's been on my radar. I've been watching other things, and it's like one of those things I feel like it's so funny because, again, you feel like you've got so much time in the world because you feel like you're kind of on lockdown still.
Yeah.
But getting through.
Do you know what it's about, though? I
don't know the story. No, I saw Spike Lee. I saw some of the performers in it. And I was like, I'll sign up for that.
I had no idea what it was about until I watched it yesterday, and it absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah.
I assumed it was about like the creation of like the gangs, the Bloods and the Crips or something like that is what I assumed from the name.
Sure.
But Blood is what African-American men called each other in the Vietnam War.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know that either, but they'd say, "Hey, what's up, Blood?" To one another. So that's what they called each other in Vietnam. So this movie, the whole thing's set in Vietnam today and during the war. They have flashbacks to the war.
Okay.
But it's 4 men who survived Vietnam, and they're going back to rescue the body of their squadron leader in Vietnam, who died there. And they've got like papers from, the Pentagon saying that they're allowed to be there and, conduct the search and all this stuff. So they have a tour guide that leads them, but they have flashbacks, and you find out that they had also stashed like a treasure chest full of gold that they had found during the war.
Okay.
So they're there, looking for their buddy, but it's also like a treasure hunt. So the movie's just incredible.
Yeah.
And Spike Lee gives a great history lesson throughout as to why America has police brutality now. And he traces it back from like 1619 when slaves were first brought over. Traces it, through that to the American Revolution, and through today, through the Civil War and on through today, the Vietnam War, World War II. It talks about like, black people were promised all these freedoms, if they fought, in Europe during World War II,
right?
And they weren't. Once again, Vietnam comes around. They're offered all these protections if they fight in the war. They're not.
Right.
And, there's still police brutality today through, from the 1600s through the 1980s, 1990s to today. It's ongoing, and it has been for a long time. But this movie gives you easily digestible history lessons throughout a very entertaining movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Five Bloods. All right. Check it out.
So far, best movie of 2020.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Incredible movie.
Wow. Very cool. All right. Well, I'll be checking it out. I feel the same way about, and again, to your point is where I'm going with this, is that, Spike Lee couldn't have known, possibly have known when he was making the movie. But I'm telling you right now, a lot of these guys, a lot of these filmmakers are so in tune with social commentary that they know, they know, they know where things are headed.
Right.
And, I find it interesting, I've said this before, but my wife and I have been going through the old, West Wing TV series. And the things that we keep saying to each other while watching it is, oh my God, back in the freaking 90s, they were, and I know it's even before this, but back in the 90s for the show, they are arguing about the exact same problems that we are arguing about today. Back then.
Right.
Which to me scares me, because that means nothing ever happened. And that means nothing ever got done. These conversations have been going on
for hundreds of years.
Right? Not just decades, but hundreds of years.
Yeah, like these people who are like, where did this come from?
Right.
I can't believe this is happening right now.
I know, exactly, right?
It's been going on for hundreds of years, people.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, look, that's why everybody at this point, everybody's like, enough is enough.
Yes, enough is enough.
Like, all of it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense why you can't say enough is enough. And I know that it's, there have been small baby steps throughout. I mean, anytime somebody, not to get too political, but anytime somebody, gets into these conversations and they say, but that's not the way things are. And I said, yeah, they were saying the same things back in the 40s. Like, that's not the way things were then either, but things changed.
Yeah.
Back in, the 1800s, when slavery was relatively okay, right? Things changed. There was still a handful of people that knew that it was wrong. It just took a while for everybody else to catch the hell up.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was interesting. We watched Hamilton finally. We had never seen the play, never seen the Broadway production. But then they did release it on digital, and we were not the first to jump on
Disney Plus, right?
Disney Plus. Yep. We weren't the first to jump on the, watch it that night it came out and all this other stuff like everybody else in the freaking world was doing. But we did take the opportunity the other night to watch it. And, there were a couple things that stood out to me. Number one, and again, I went into it completely blind, just like I would be going into the Spike Lee film. Like, I haven't looked anything up. I didn't know anything about it. A lot of times I'll just kind of go into stuff blind like that. And it was the same thing with Hamilton. I didn't look anything up. I tried listening to the soundtrack once before. This is a year ago or something, right? Just to kind of get an idea of what it was. And I like the music. I didn't understand that. I didn't have any context, right? So I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't see what the big hype was about, right? But then, so as far as expectations go, I was kind of like teetering around the top just because it was so overhyped. I was like, I'm really curious. But my first thing out of the gate, and maybe this is already like have been discussed out in the world, but I thought it was super cool that what should be a complete whitewash of a stage production because of who it involves was nothing but people of color.
That's awesome.
I mean, I really outside of like one actress, which I think even she looks like she's got some kind of I haven't looked her up or anything, but she even looks like she's got maybe some kind of Asian or something descendants of, traits or whatever. Right. She doesn't look 100% Caucasian is my point.
Right.
And so, but all of these, all these guys are all people of color playing our founding fathers. It was awesome. It was a great idea. It was a super cool idea. And then my favorite was this idea. It's a line in one of the songs where they reference the fact that Hamilton and I think I'm trying to remember who else it was. The majority of like his little inner circle all considered themselves immigrants. I thought that was super cool. The founding fathers, the majority of them are immigrants,
right?
And we're in a current state in our country going, stay away, immigrants. Don't immigrate to the United States, when it was founded on the backs of immigrants. Seems to be selective memory these days.
It is. I mean, our country was built on the cheap labor of immigrants.
Right. So
from
anyway,
the 1700s to the 1800s.
I enjoyed it.
1900s to today.
Right. I enjoyed that little sidebar in the story. And again, I appreciate what they were doing with the fact that it was basically full of people of color. I thought that was super cool with that show. As far as Broadway musicals go, it was okay. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, like this is the best thing ever. It was okay. My favorite was, have you seen it? Did you ever go see the production or anything like that?
No,
okay.
I have not seen it.
So of course, I mean, the show itself is very much, people have seen it hundreds of times almost, right? And so when they record it, like, apparently the recordings that you're watching, that they turned into the movie they put on Disney Plus, is done from the last week that the original cast performed. Like that's what it is. And the guy that plays King George walks out on stage, right? And I can't remember the actor's name, but it's he does the voice of Kristoff in the Frozen movies.
Okay.
And he walks out on stage and the audience went ballistic. And I was like, okay, they're obviously they know something I don't, right? And he started to do his thing, and I swear to God, he steals the show. And now I know why everybody goes nuts to this guy. He is incredible.
Really?
He is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it, and like you, I've listened to the soundtrack. Wasn't blown away by any means, but I wanted to experience it somehow because it's been so popular for years.
Right.
But yeah, I do want to see it. I just have not had a chance to yet.
Definitely check it out. Like I said, it was good. And there are songs where you do leave singing them again. My favorites were the King George ones. Like he was so funny. But it's talk about history lesson. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's just an interesting way to go through that particular part of our history. And I mean, obviously there are things about Alexander Hamilton portrayed in this show I had no idea. The things that caught me off guard were hey, we got little Nick in the house. What's up, little Nick? How you doing, man?
Hey, Nick, what's up?
The things that caught me off guard were they used the same actors multiple times in the show. As
different characters?
Gotcha. And so, and it threw me off because the whole thing starts off with like an introduction to who Alexander Hamilton is, right? And at one point, the three main women leads in the show are all up on this balcony thing, and they say the line, "I loved him," all together, which means like all three of them had a relationship with Alexander Hamilton. And the next time you see those 3 actresses, they're sisters. And I'm like, he went through all 3 sisters? What the hell? Like, dude. Nice. But what ends up happening is halfway through, like, I think it's after intermission, the two of them stay sisters. The third one becomes Alexander Hamilton's mistress, and it's a completely different character.
Interesting.
And so it threw me off, right? And then the same thing early on in the first half, there are 3 guys that are they're his boys, right? He's like the first ones he meets. They're the ones that push him to be, one of helping, the revolution and all this other stuff, right? They go with him into war, all these things, okay? And then all of a sudden, after intermission, one of them becomes Thomas Jefferson, and you're like, what? You know what I mean? And so there was things like that where it just completely took me, like, they had like the guy that played like a doctor played another character and played another character. And so all of a sudden I was like, I don't understand why. Like, that's a choice I don't get why they made that particular choice. Because not only that, but it's a long show, right? And there is barely any actual just spoken dialogue. It's mainly all singing. And for those performers to have to, so again, like, you think, you're going to get off easy because you only have to do half the show. Nope. We're going to put you in a completely different outfit, make you a completely different character, and you're going to keep your ass singing for another hour and a half. Like, what? When they have the opportunity to hire another actor or actress or whatever, right? It just, again, that kind of thing threw me off. I don't know why the decision was made there.
It must have been the directing choice. Like, it must have been a decision by the director to keep the cast small or something.
I guess. I don't know.
Keep it intimate, keep it small. I don't know.
But maybe
they all went out in the woods and held hands.
Yeah. I don't know.
It became close and wouldn't allow anybody else into the woods while they frolicked on stage.
Okay. It's gotten weird, folks.
Yes, actors are weird.
Wow. Anyway, so it was interesting to see that again, because there were things that they were talking about in that show that were relevant, and historically relevant to things that we are experiencing today. So I just,
another thing that I really enjoyed about Spike Lee's joint was he changed the aspect ratio multiple times. Like he pulls your attention to different aspect ratios multiple times throughout the film. At one point, it's like a 16:9 letterbox, and then when they go back to the Vietnam War, it switches to like a 4:3 like square, old TV style. And it changes multiple times, and sometimes it's full screen, like it's not letterboxed. It takes up the full screen, and he really draws attention to it. But to me, I think what he's trying to say is that he hopes that he changes the audience's aspect.
Okay.
It changes their point of view.
So there's a commentary in changing with the aspect ratio.
Yeah, I think there's a theme there. I think
as an editor, that would have drove me insane. I don't even know how the hell. I'm trying to think how the hell you even do that.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like Star Wars wipes. So instead of like a scene ends, and a wipe comes across the screen, the next scene would be like letterboxed,
right?
Instead of like full screen.
Gotcha.
Or it were like 4:3.
Gotcha.
So I think, he's trying to make these historical points and draw a line, from 1600 to today, of, why we still have police brutality in the African-American community. Yeah, I just think it's interesting. Like he's specifically drawing attention to that because he wants to draw your attention to it and change your aspect, change your point of view, change your thinking through a historical lens.
Did you ever see what was the Peter? I'm trying to look it up. The Peter Jackson movie. They shall not grow old.
They shall not grow old. I don't know. Is that the one with Kate Winslet?
No. This is like basically a documentary.
Okay.
And they found a whole bunch of old World War I footage that like, different soldiers and stuff had recorded on their own, what would have been back then? 8mm?
I have no idea. Probably 16 millimeter.
You think it was 16?
Probably. What year were you thinking?
Well, World War One.
Oh, WW1. Oh gosh, I have no idea, man. It was probably something big. It was probably like 35 millimeter.
You think so?
They probably had this big, huge, heavy, clunking camera that they were dragging around.
Gotcha. But they basically took all this old footage and they pieced it together to form a story out of it, right? But what they did was Weta went in and actually colorized all of it and made it, like, blew it up and made it 4K and whatever, and like did all this crazy digital stuff to it to bring it back to life instead of just like that little small aspect ratio kind of thing. And they went in post, and did like post sound design on it and gave like as if like the film was alive, like people were talking in the background and stuff like that. But the entire thing is narrated by World War I survivors. Wow. And so, I mean, just literally from start to finish, no, it never stops. Like, I don't even think there's any music in it or anything like that. It's literally like an hour and a half of constant talking of these survivors weaving through a story that they crafted through interviews and this footage. And it's really cool to see the way they did it. There's some weird optical flow stuff going on in there that which creates like this kind of strange morphing effect as people pass something that's got a lot of texture to it. That kind of bothered me. I don't know if a lot of people would notice it other than somebody like me. But it was almost like, it was almost too intense. Like it was almost, I felt worn out after a while because it's nonstop. From the minute it opens up, it's just constant, people talking through this story with no break. It's crazy.
Interesting.
But anyway, it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't remember that one ever being on my radar. It doesn't sound familiar at all.
It was. I think it ended up. It was a big deal when they were talking about it, and then when it came out, I don't think it really got a lot of
kind of fizzled out.
Yeah,
gotcha. So it sounds like the kind of project that could happen.
Yeah,
it's hard to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely a personal project for them.
It was something to watch on the History Channel on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and I think it was something that I think Peter Jackson, just because I think they had the rights to all that stuff, or he had somehow acquired all the rights to that footage. I feel like he felt like he needed to do something with it. And it was almost one of those things. Can my team do this? Can we make this happen? And they did.
Nice.
But I mean, if it ever hits like I wouldn't go spend money on it. If it ever hits like a streaming thing or something like that, on Netflix or an Amazon, you should check. I mean, it's one of those ones. It's worth checking out just because of the technological feat of it, right? But it's a workout, like just watching through it. I'm ready for movies, man. I want.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so bummed that Tenet got delayed indefinitely. Mulan just got delayed today.
Yeah, Disney pushed back a lot of stuff. They pushed back Star Wars, Mulan. They pushed back like everything.
Well, yeah, I mean they had all these untitled Star Wars movies that now the next one isn't going to potentially come out until December of 2023, which I'm okay. Frankly, I'm okay with.
Yeah, I am too. This market kind of got saturated.
Well, it was saturated in the film side of it, and I think it was Star Wars used to be a celebrated event when it came out because it was so few and far between.
Right.
Even when they were doing the prequels, I mean, that was like a 2-year hiatus kind of thing, and it got to a point. I mean, that was one of like Iger's things after Disney acquired Star Wars was Star Wars movie every year, and
right.
They did that for the first 3 years, and they were like, oh God, wait, hold on, back up.
Yeah.
This is getting nuts. Here's the thing though. Now we have Disney Plus.
Yep.
Right. And we have a Mandalorian, and we have Mandalorian season 2. and we have Cassian Andor coming out, and they just announced they are going to do, which you never watched Clone Wars, but they're going to do in the last season that they just did of Clone Wars. They introduced these clones called the Bad Batch, and they were in it for like a short, like 2 or 3 episode run. And I was like, these dudes are way too cool to just only give them 3 episodes, right? Mm-hmm. They're getting a series.
Nice.
And I'm like, thank you. Like, you knew the writing was on the wall at that point. Like, they introduced all these great characters in like 3 episodes, and then you never see them again. Even in the cartoon, the Rebels cartoon that takes place after Clone Wars, they were never around or anything. So you knew that they were going to be, like, they had something planned for these guys, and they were setting them up. They were basically giving their backstory in Clone Wars to then give them an animated series on Disney Plus. I cannot freaking wait for that. And then I sent you a link the other day about them possibly doing what we talked about
on a few episodes ago.
About doing continuing the Solo story
with Lando,
but with Lando, and putting it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, Donald Glover could carry a series.
Oh my God, yes, he could. Absolutely, he could.
They could go in so many wild directions.
Oh my God, I cannot wait. Here's the way I see it. You ready for my big brain theory?
Go for it. Okay. I don't know if I'm ready though.
This is honestly, this is how I saw the second movie when I thought it was going to be a movie.
Yeah.
That's how I saw the second movie starting, right? The end of Rise of Skywalker has happened and the dust has settled, right? And Lando is sitting in a bar, right? Old Lando, Billy D. Williams Lando. Okay. Sitting there and he's off on his ventures with what is probably his daughter, Jaina. Right, the girl from the I can't think of the actress's name, but from Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. Right, they set up this whole big thing about how he could be her father. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they're off on their own adventures, and it opens with him in a bar, and there's an interaction or something that happens in this bar, and Chewie is there, and Chewie's saying his farewells to Lando and taking off the Falcon, and Lando, kind of he goes, Chewie, don't wreck my ship, and he takes off, right? And then that can prompt Jaina to say, what is it with you in this ship? Right. And boom, now we get a backstory. Lando can start talking about reminiscing about Han because they never had that closure. Right. Han died and Lando was off doing his thing. Right. So now we can kind of start talking about Han, but Lando's perspective. And then we can go through this history lesson with Lando about how his adventures with Han led to them trading the ship back and forth and all this stuff that we talked about. Right. Mm-hmm. But you get Billy D. Williams as Lando one more time in this show to start it off. Right. And maybe you see him again at the end of the series or something, or season or something, right? Like, and then you finally get that connection of
like passing off the baton,
right?
The passing of the baton,
right? Oh my God,
passing of the torch.
Please, God, yes, make this at Disney, Lucasfilm, if you're listening,
copyrighted, registered, trademark.
Jesus, I got ideas, folks. I got me ideas. I want to see that. I want to see Billy as Lando one more time. Give him an opportunity to really discuss Han. Like even in the last, the Rise of Skywalker, like he never really got a chance to talk about Han. Right. He talked a little bit about Leia, but not really Han. Mm-hmm. And that sucks.
Yeah,
that super sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'd love to see that. That is a segue into young Lando and his adventures with Han. You can base the series around, Lando, right? But Han keeps kind of popping up, that kind of thing. I thought it would work better as a movie in that sense, right?
Yeah, I still think that it would work better as a series of films.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely open to a series.
Oh my God, I can't wait. And then you got Cassian Andor still coming out. Like these things are done. Like, you know what I mean? Like they've been shot. Mandalorian, especially because of the way that they've been doing it. Like that series is going to hit in November. No problem. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Even though Hollywood's completely shutting back down again, like that's going to happen. Great. Like we don't need Star Wars movies every single year when you've got that kind of content coming out.
It's true.
I can wait till 2023. I can wait till 2024 for a new Star Wars movie. If you're going to give me that kind of content that I can absorb on my TV screen and I can absorb it multiple times on my TV screen. Okay.
And I haven't really gotten into any of the novelizations, since Disney took over, but I've definitely read some of the Marvel comic books that, Disney and Marvel and Star Wars has put out. And some of the comic books are just outstanding. Like, they have great stories. Mm-hmm. So you could even waste time doing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the comic books are great. Did I tell you I pulled out all my old comic books that I had when I was a kid, and right on top of those things were a bunch of old Star Wars, Marvel comics, and I showed my son, and he sat here in the scary workroom and read an entire one. Nice. And he had never really been exposed to comic books yet like that. And I know it's probably not the ones that he should be reading for your first introduction into comics, because they're not particularly well drawn. They're not great stories, but
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What comic book you're introduced to first?
Yeah, but he found him interesting. He was taking a look at him. He has yet to ask me to look at any more or anything like that. But I can't wait for him to get into some of those and start cycling through all of my old comic books. I think that'll be super cool.
Yeah, my first comic book was a Spider-Man comic book. It was Spider-Man versus Nightcrawler from the X-Men.
Nice.
And at the end, there was like a little 6-page Spider-Ham comic at the end.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have it.
That's great.
But yeah, it's a treasure possession. I need to frame it or something.
Where would you rank Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse from all the Spider-Man movies? Is it your number one?
It's up there. I don't know if it's number one. I really like the first two Sam Raimi's Spider-Mans, but it's up there with those first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
I'm a big fan of that first Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The second one gets a lot of accolades. I think I like the first one more.
Do you?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I like both of them, and I would definitely put it up there with those. And I think it would be awesome if they brought Tobey Maguire back into the Spider-Verse.
Just to do a voice?
Not even a voice. Like, they could do a live action.
Like a character design?
They could do a live action.
Live action Spider-Verse?
Him as Spider-Man.
Well, they've done...
Mixed in with the cartoons.
That'd be weird.
It'd be cool.
That's almost weird enough to work.
Right?
That's almost weird enough to work.
I think that'd be awesome.
I kind of like it. I do love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, though.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was definitely skeptical when they announced Tobey Maguire back in the day.
Yeah.
I was like, what? No, he's too wooden of an actor to pull off a comic book character.
Right.
No, there's no way he's going to be able to pull this off. But, I thought he did a pretty good job in the end.
Again, he was good for our time. Like, that was what we kind of knew. Right. And then we had Andrew Garfield, which at the time I was like, okay, great. He's not Tobey Maguire. Like, I didn't resonate with him as much as Tobey Maguire. Mm-hmm. But then when they brought in Tom Holland, Tom Holland took the cake for me for Spider-Man. Like, he was Peter Parker.
Yeah, he's very good in that role.
And but I like the stylistic nature of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Which is why I'm super freaking stoked about, Sam Raimi took over for Doctor Strange 2, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. Is there anybody better to direct a Doctor Strange movie?
I'd be okay if he brought Peter Parker into that Doctor Strange.
He could. Because it's the multiverse of madness. Come on now. You're going into the multiverse. You can start bringing some weird stuff.
Yeah.
You could do some weird shit.
Yep. Yeah. Bring in Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man.
I'm so I need movies to start happening again. Like, we need to start seeing these things. I know we've got, like I said, Tenants in the background. We've got Black Widow sitting on the shelf.
I'm still stoked for Bill and Ted 3, man.
Bill and Ted 3's sitting out there. It's going to
be awesome.
Wonder Woman 84 is out there.
I hope it's better than the first Wonder Woman.
Well, I do too. Frankly, it could be the same. It could be the same. I had fun with Wonder Woman, right? I just didn't think it was as everything. And we talked about this. I didn't think it was everything as it was cracked up to be, right? Or everybody made it out to be. As long as I have fun with Wonder Woman 1984, okay.
I love the era that it's set in.
It's perfect. So, you know what I mean? Like, I can have a super good time with it.
Yeah, I hope they have a good time with it.
I can have a super good time. Matter of fact, I actually had I was doing a car video for a I believe it was 1984, I think was the reason why. But I think it was a 1984 BBI Ferrari BBI. And I totally found music that ripped the music off that trailer. Like it was totally, oh my God. And I was like, this is totally, this is happening. This is happening with this video. And I cannot listen to that video without it popping into my head that it's the Wonder Woman I can't even think of the pop song that they use in the trailer, but that music, you know what I mean? Like that synth drummed, whatever, like it's that same sound.
It's funny.
Love it. There's other. I'm trying to remember what the hell else was coming out. Like Mulan, I was actually curious. Out of all of the Disney remakes, I was curious about Mulan. That was the one that I was actually curious to see. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to remember what else was going to come out this summer that got pushed to the wayside. New Mutants was one of them, which they're talking about that hitting streaming now.
Really?
And Disney releasing it, like Disney Plus releasing, because that was supposed to be when that movie was originally concepted by Fox and shot and edited. New Mutants was an R-rated film. And then Fox went back in and said, no, you got to redo it. We need a PG-13. You got to do that. And they did reshoots and they got delayed because of different things. Like Maisie Williams is in it. And she was still trying to do Game of Thrones and, whatever. Right. And so they had to wait for her and all this other stuff. New Mutants should never come out. Like the way it was plagued with problems, production problems, studio problems, everything. And then Fox sold themselves to Disney. So then everybody's like, well, New Mutants is never coming out. Like that movie's never seeing the light of day. And then all of a sudden, here we go. Disney's kind of announcing, like there's a chance that they're going to announce it's at San Diego Comic-Con this week that New Mutants is hitting streaming here relatively soon because that movie's done. It's been done. It's been done twice, actually.
But there was that Tom Hanks movie that was supposed to come out this summer, the submarine movie. It's on Apple.
Greyhound. Yeah, and it hit Apple.
But yeah, I think that was supposed to hit in theaters this summer.
It wouldn't have surprised me. Yeah, I mean, you don't typically do a Tom Hanks vehicle and not
hit the main in the summertime.
Yeah,
like his return to like World War II,
right?
Like coming back to that's
again.
Private Ryan.
See, that's what I'm talking about. There's another movie that's been in my queue, and when the hell I never have time to. I don't have time to do anything. I don't have time to do anything, and I don't understand why. I barely have time to play any video games. I barely have time to watch any TV. I barely have time to watch any movies. I barely have time to spend time with my family. And I'm like, I'm not even working much. Where the hell is every hour in the day going these days? I don't understand what's happening. That's why it's like, it's still important for me to try to do things like this, to keep this going, because this will easily fall to the wayside if I'm not careful.
Yeah. Experiencing time through this COVID social distancing stuff has been weird. Time seems different for some reason. It's like a weird
time warp during the COVID.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And
maybe there's something wrong with the Earth's gravity.
I don't know.
Gravitational pull.
It's not helping. I'm starting to, it's a good thing, but I'm starting to work more, and I think that's helping. I'm super excited. I told you earlier, I got tapped to go to Denver on Monday to go direct a commercial, or not a commercial, but a video with he used to play for the San Diego Chargers, and now he plays. I've directed something with him before, but now he got. I don't know if he got traded or if he just got cut and then signed with the Denver Broncos. But Melvin Gordon, veteran running back, and boy, Chargers must just be annihilated right now because we stole their quarterback. Colts did. Colts stole their quarterback, and now they don't have their running back, their star running back. But anyway.
Nice.
I'm super excited about, doing that. Yeah, I'm going to probably be getting on a petri dish of an airplane to fly there, but mask up, baby.
Yeah.
But it's been, it's fun to get back to work, to do a few things here and there. But I don't feel like that's taken that much time out of my life. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's some weird time warp thing going on right now. I can't figure it out.
Yeah. I think we're all experiencing it. I think it's, some kind of weird nothing to do phenomenon of time.
Speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, though, the on that same panel, was Colin Trevorrow, I mentioned earlier. There's still Jurassic World 3 is working. Like they're in production still.
Really?
Yeah, they're shooting and doing everything they got to do and whatever.
I never saw the second one.
Did you never? I was going to ask you how you felt about those.
I saw the first one. I really have no interest in seeing the second one.
Yeah.
Once again, more power to women in film. I hope there's more female directors, coming up in the future. But in that movie, Bryce Dallas Howard does every single thing that Chris Pratt does in high heels. I have a problem with that.
I don't disagree.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Like
you cannot outrun a T-Rex in heels.
No, you can't. It can't be done.
She is a badass. She is not that much of a badass.
Exactly.
Nobody is that much of a badass.
Yeah.
And trust me, they got a lot of bad flack for the heel thing, which is why she doesn't even sniff a heel in the second one. It's nothing but boots for her, baby.
Nice.
But I thought, do you remember the turd that was Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay. Literally, we left that movie. I don't know if you remember or not. I think we went to a screening of it or something early, like, a couple of weeks in advance, right? And we left that movie, and you looked at me and you said, frankly, I was waiting for the what are they called? Pterodactyls or whatever they're called. What are they called? They're not pterodactyls. Is that what they're called? Damn flying.
The flying, yeah.
Is it
pterodactyls?
Pterodons, whatever.
There's other ones.
I think you said pterodactyl. I'm going to just say you said pterodactyl. But you said, frankly, I was waiting for the pterodactyls flying away at the end to just take a massive dump.
That's awesome.
Because that was pretty much the feeling we had after we watched that movie. Like, It was just a massive dump, and we were waiting for it just to be like this beautiful music as they're flying away, and it just to go.
Because that was the tone.
Because that was the tone of the film, right? That's Jurassic World 2.
The second Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my feeling on it.
Okay. I believe you. I think Colin Trevorrow was a hack.
Well, he didn't do the second one.
But he's executive
producer on it. But that's like saying Steven Spielberg really had anything to do with Transformers
or Jurassic Park 3
right?
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a Trevorrow fan. I'm glad that he left Star Wars. And
I am too. And that's the thing. It's like
I'm kind of mad when I see his name on the screen.
Everybody's like, credit. I mean, here's the thing: is like everybody was going gaga over him getting Star Wars, getting the third one. Right? Everybody was like, "Oh my God, yeah, whatever." And then all the haters out there with the Rian Johnson thing, and then that played into the J.J. Abrams coming back, and then it brought up all these problems people have with Force Awakens, and J.J. Abrams is just going to take the easy way out, and all this other stuff. And then the Trevorrow script leaks online, and everybody's like, "Oh, why didn't they make this movie?" And I'm like reading this. I read that script. That script is awful.
It's terrible.
And I'm terrible. I'm like, what are you people talking about? I don't understand. People get their heads stuck so far up their rear end sometimes with these things, and they forget what it was these people, just like everybody celebrating this idea of a Zack Snyder cut for Justice League.
Yeah.
It's the same dude that gave us Batman v Superman. Okay. I know there's some people that like Man of Steel. All right. But it's this, it's the same guy that gave us some of these movies that like people either, I guess people love him or hate him. Sure. Okay. I understand. Some people love Sucker Punch. I'm not a fan of Sucker Punch.
No, Sucker Punch is terrible. I love Watchmen.
I really like Watchmen.
I love Watchmen. I've seen it multiple times.
300 is a beautiful film. It's awful.
I'm not a big 300 fan.
It's beautiful. At the time, it was groundbreaking, right? It looked amazing. Not good performances, not a good story, like whatever. Like it was kind of just, it was a freaking 2-hour long music video. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's Zack Snyder, folks. Like, I don't understand why you're getting so excited about this,
I
right?
Don't either.
It's the same thing with this Colin Trevorrow thing. It's like, look, Jurassic World, here's the deal. I enjoyed Jurassic World for what it was. And I think part of the reason I enjoyed it so much was because we were left with an awful turd of a taste in our mouth from the third one. And the second one was okay. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, Lost World was not great. Mm-hmm. Lost World was okay, right? I mean, the magic of the first one was just because of the magic of the first one. Nobody had ever seen anything like it on screen. Like, it was amazing. The performances were great. The music was amazing. And Jurassic World had a huge feat to live up to. And it did an okay job. It had very, characters actors, performers in it that you easily fall in love with, right? Like they're fun to watch. They're personable on screen. And still, I love the fact that once again, Michael Giacchino coming out of the woodwork to step on step in place of John Williams to kind of take over what John Williams had set with Jurassic Park and Lost World, and coming in now to score all these Jurassic World movies. Thank you again, Giacchino. I mean, basically that was my favorite part of the whole damn movie, was just his score. I like
that big whale dinosaur. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean,
there was cool stuff, and it was cool concepts. Like it was, the whole idea of training the velociraptors and everything, and this blue dynamic. And again, whatever they called it, it was Jurassic World 2, but they had a name for it, Fallen Kingdom or something like that, right? It just got goofy, and their it almost, I hate to say this about some of these actors, but it almost felt like they were just bored. Like they felt bored while they were doing it. And I don't know why it felt that way. It came across that way. It does feel like two different complete movies. Like it feels like the whole first part of the movie is a Jurassic World or Park movie. And the second part of that movie is a horror movie. It's really weird.
Yeah. And that's why I like the Lost World. It was like more of like a horror movie.
It felt a little bit that way, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like Jaws, like Spielberg's Return to Jaws type.
But it hit the same beats. I guess that's my point. Is like you talk about J.J. Abrams hitting the same beats and Force Awakens as original Star Wars, right? I mean, Trevorrow did it with World compared to Jurassic Park, right?
Right.
And then the second one, it's literally to the point where they bring freaking dinosaurs to the mainland in the last half of that movie. It's exactly what happens in Lost World. Like,
right.
It is literally retreading the same thing. And so for people to sit there and celebrate this idea of Trevorrow coming, the whole doing Star Wars and coming back for a third one and all this stuff, the movie he did right before he was going to go do episode 9, I can't think what the hell that was called, was just annihilated by critics and fans.
Really?
It was an awful movie, apparently. I never saw it. Like, it was to the point where I was turned so far off of it. I was like, I don't want to waste my time with this. I don't even like Trevorrow to begin with, but I'm like, I'm not going to.
Same here.
Again, I appreciate anybody that works in the business, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to go out of my way to watch your stuff if I just don't personally like what you write and direct.
Exactly.
And so, and that was like, everybody thought, well, he did such an awful job with that. Maybe that's why Disney's pulling him. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it was, they saw the writing on the wall. They thought, okay, well, Jurassic World was okay. Like, it was entertaining. Right. But
he's not breaking new ground.
He's not breaking new ground.
It's nothing original.
No,
it's almost exactly like shot for shot of what Spielberg did in 1994.
Right. So I don't understand. I don't understand this idea of people celebrating the idea of him actually.
And Spielberg, as an artist in 1994, also did Schindler's List,
right,
which Colin Trevorrow could never do.
No,
never, ever.
No.
Not in a million
Spielberg
years.
In the same damn year, dude, gave us Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. That is incredible filmmaking in one year. Are you kidding me?
Just the level of artistry.
Oh my God.
A director is responsible for everything you see on screen.
Right.
Everything you see on screen is what the director's responsible for. And he did that with 2 masterful films in the same year.
Yeah. It was incredible. But yeah, for anybody to sit there and say that, to continue to talk about how they would rather have seen the Trevorrow Star Wars.
No, I mean, my problem with it is he had this big, like, H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu type character that was, like, in charge of the Force.
Right.
That's the worst idea ever. The Force is about the midichlorians at the microscopic, like the sub-microscopic level. You can't go to this big, huge maxi level in Star Wars.
Right.
It's about the tiny. It's about, the things that happen in the smallest of things and the tiniest of details.
Frankly, I personally would rather, I like keeping my Star Wars, I like keeping my Force as mystical. Mm-hmm. and not diving into the science nature of it. Like, that's why Star Wars is science or not science fantasy. What do they call it? Fantasy.
It's space opera,
whatever, where you get like a Star Trek and then science fiction, right? So I don't put those two together. They're not the same. They're not the same thing. So when Lucas started explaining midi-chlorians, I'm like, don't. Like I want it to be magical. Like I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want it to be an all-powerful force controlling everything or whatever, binds us all together. Right? You know what I mean? Like
a mystical force.
A mystical force. I don't want little microscopic organisms that live in everything that we communicate with. You know what I mean? Like I don't want that.
But it's the wills.
Okay.
The wills are in charge of the midichlorians.
Yeah, right.
The wills are the ones who push the midichlorians to act.
Again, I understand the lore behind it. I just don't want it. I don't want it shoved in my face. I want it to be mystical. Okay. And, you know, which again goes back to this whole idea of, you know, all these freaking fanboys I just want to line up and smack of where's our George Lucas sequel trilogy? Oh, you mean the same guy you were like saying should be put in a home for giving us the prequels? The same people that said that want a George Lucas sequel trilogy? The hell is the matter with you people? Midi-chlorians, baby. That's all I got to say. Midi-freaking-chlorians. Can't cast a actor to save his life. He got lucky with the original 3. Because if you watch their audition tapes,
it was like capturing lightning in a bottle.
Oh my God. If you watch their audition tapes, other than Harrison, right? No.
And he didn't want him originally. He was just a friend.
No, that's my point. Like
from American Graffiti.
Right. He was just in there like reading some lines for people to read against. Right. But my God, like I'm telling you, they got lucky with those guys. And then when he actually had to go cast real people in the prequels, it just the wheels fell off, man. Like you saw like what he could cast. I still don't understand that. You see that documentary of the Phantom Menace and the kid that was reading against Jake Lloyd, and not to beat on Jake Lloyd much, but like the other kid was phenomenal. You remember this? There's a great documentary that shows the casting between Jake Lloyd and this other kid, and like all of the people in the room are pointing at this other kid, going, "He just hits all the beats. He looks like Mark Hamill, you know, younger, like Mark Hamill, whatever. Great performances." And they went with Jake freaking Lloyd, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel bad for him. He grew up in Indiana.
I'm telling you, I feel awful. Like the way even him and Ahmad Best, the way that they were beat up, I don't personally think that they were put in a good position, because you don't want, especially with like a Jake Lloyd as a young actor, George Lucas is not the director that you want teaching you the ways of cinema, you know what I mean? Or performance, not cinema. He's very steeped in cinema. I understand that. But as far as teaching you performance when the massive amount of his direction is faster and more intense, not good for a kid actor. Right. And Ahmad Best, who is a physical performer, right, was not meant to even really have the role like he had. Like it ended up kind of, turning into that. Mm-hmm. But neither one of those two deserve the flack that they got, because we've talked about this, that especially Ahmad Best hit the level that was supposed to be hit for the audience that Lucas was trying to go for. I don't like anybody being bullied, and so I feel bad for it.
I mean, Jake Lloyd grew up here in Indiana, and he was bullied all through school growing up.
Yeah. Well, he was. Yeah,
he's paid the price for that bullying.
Yeah,
that's a lot of
because he was
health issues.
Bullied before where they were living, and they moved to Indiana, and then was bullied here again. And I think they moved to Madison.
I don't know where they are now, but last I knew he was like locked up because I don't know what he did. He broke the law somehow.
Yeah. When you
mental health issues.
When people mess with your head like that, I mean, again, bullying is not. Like I said, I hate that. Like I hate that happened. But I blame Lucas, because I don't think he gave that kid a single chance to learn. Like he didn't. There was another kid that had the natural, like Jake Lloyd just didn't have the natural ability. Like I think he could get there if you taught him and if you gave him good dialogue to get, because I don't remember like Jake Lloyd being atrocious in Jingle All the Way. You know what I mean? He was cute and he was adorable and it was great. Mm-hmm. Right. But when you give him a meaty role at that age, he was not prepared mentally or whatever for that role, and he didn't have a director that could help prepare him for that. That's not good.
Did you see that they re-released that Pod Racer video game?
Hells yes. we played the hell out of that game.
That game was fun.
That game was super fun. Is it just on the Switch or is it on PlayStation? Or
I don't know. I think it's on PlayStation and Switch.
Okay. Oh man, I remember that game being super. You'd soup up your pods and everything by different things you do. And
I wonder if he did any voice acting on that video game.
I don't know. I have
to check that out.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad for him, but I just don't understand people that continue to push those guys and those directors and say that somehow magically they were going to do a much better job than what we got. When if you really think back at the history of what those people gave us recently, where do you come up with that? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree.
Speaking of video games, what did you decide? Are you playing Paper Mario or are you playing Ghost of Tsushima?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Tsushima. I don't know. Shishimu. I'm just gonna say it that way.
Well, it's interesting. They really try to hit the T. The actors really try to hit the T.
Really?
In that. Okay. And there's multiple. So it's an English speaking cast that does it. And
they just dubbed it in English, right?
No, I tried doing the Kurosawa mode, the black and white in Japanese, and they even make the music sound a little more tinny, like it it does in an old movie.
Really?
Yeah, and it's cool, but the dialogue's in English. Their mouths move in English.
Really?
So when you try to watch it in Kurosawa mode, it's like a dubbed.
It's almost the other way around.
It's the opposite. It's dubbed.
That's hilarious.
To English moving.
So what made you choose that over Paper Mario then?
Just reviews, honestly.
Honestly, okay.
Yeah. Paper Mario didn't get great reviews.
Okay.
Ghost of Tsushima got great reviews. I'm loving it. It's absolutely amazing.
Nice.
It's an open world game, kind of like the Assassin's Creed games.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a sandbox type game.
Okay.
Where you can just kind of make your own adventure, and
nice.
You can follow the story if you want, or you can kind of make your own adventure. And,
okay.
Have fun, and like last night I was looking for shrines.
Okay.
So they have these little foxes and little canaries. And if you follow the canary or you follow the fox, it'll take you.
Is there anything in there that will make me poop my pants?
I mean, like gore, blood and gore.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that'll jump out and scare the absolute.
I've come across like some stories about demons and like possessed people, but nothing. It's nothing like jump scare horror type story. It's more Japanese folklore and history.
I finished. I finished PT the other night, and I played it all the way through that Silent Hills playable teaser. Dude,
it's crazy.
Oh my god, you have got to check it out. Like you've got to just go to Twitch and just watch. It's in the VOD section. You have to just watch that one.
Okay.
It's like I think I spent 4 hours on it or something like that, screwing around. Frankly, I got to a point towards the end. I was like, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out.
I finally had to look it up. I got so frustrated with it. I was like, I have to look this up. And I was reading things like you needed to wear a headset where you could talk to the ghost or something like that. And I was like, well, I don't have that set up. Like, how the hell are you supposed to do this? And then I finally found something online that said, honestly, if you just pause the game and wait for about 5 minutes, the whole point was to get a second baby cry or laugh. If you wait, it'll do it. How the hell did people figure this stuff out?
Right.
I mean, there's no way. I'm just thinking, Kojima, you are on crack, dude. Like, what the stuff going on in there? Like,
yeah, that dude's wild.
Oh my god. So here's my question for you. Since you played it, you may not even remember, but since you played it,
I played it when it first came out.
When you go
years ago,
right? That was 14.
It was before Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, it was 2014. I played through the whole thing, watched all the credits, and then it just kind of starts over, right? And all of a sudden you're waking up again in that room, but it's different. And there's like a little cockroach running by your face this time. I personally, my heart could not handle going through it again. So I wasn't. Is there some? Did you play through it again a second time? Is there something different?
Yeah, I think there's multiple. There's a lot of stuff to see in there.
Oh my god!
And I've even read that like just recently people have found out that the ghost is literally right behind you the entire time.
Well, I see. To me, because when I'm wearing my headset playing that thing, especially streaming, like I got the headset and it kind of does the 3D environment or whatever in it. That damn thing sounds like it's inside of you, not behind you.
That's awesome.
Like, and honestly, what, like if you,
but people are still finding stuff. People are still playing it. People are still finding stuff.
That's crazy.
6 years later, and it's a teaser.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was a stupid teaser. Frankly, my feeling on it was, I don't think I could have gone through an entire game. I swear to God, I was having chest pains. I was like, oh my God, dude. There was I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I'm literally getting chills thinking about that game.
Game's creepy. It's insanely creepy.
I turned a corner. This was like one of the first interactions you have. or encounters you have. I turn a corner and that damn thing is standing there in the hallway. Right? And it's like, whatever. And like you take one step and the light turns off. I'm getting chills thinking about it. Freaked me out, man. To hell with that game.
So I'm also playing this game called Carrion. Carrion is it's a horror game where
is that a mouth?
You play as the monster. Yes, you play as the monster, and you're like
there's multiple mouths in there.
Yeah, it's I would describe the thing as it's like the Thing, but it's like a mix between like a spider and a worm with these giant mouths everywhere.
I don't think I want to play that.
It's an interesting game because you had mentioned Videodrome on several episodes back, directed by David Cronenberg, and we didn't really get into it then, but that's a subgenre of horror called the body horror subgenre.
Okay.
Where people are horrified by the crazy morphing of the human body, basically. And in Videodrome, he has like a VCR in his stomach,
right? That
kind of looks like a giant vagina.
That's exactly what it looks like
in his stomach, and that plays VHS tapes,
right?
So that's like the body horror.
Because movies
and several other David Cronenberg movies do that, but it's interesting that there's this video game that is now in the body horror genre.
Frankly, I'm shocked that Nintendo is putting games like this out. You have shown me some creepy games, like indie games on the Switch.
Yeah,
and I've been frankly shocked that because Nintendo has been historically
very family friendly, extremely.
Do you remember like how big of a deal it was? Right, how big of a deal it was when Resident Evil 4 like hit the GameCube or something like that? Like, everybody was like, "What?"
They have a mature video game that's exclusive to the Nintendo GameCube.
We all couldn't believe it.
Right,
we could not believe it.
Yeah, it's insane.
I don't know, man. I want to play Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Whatever. I really want to play it. I got through PT and then I had PTSD
from PT. Makes sense.
But I'm telling you, it's worth a watch on the stream if you're bored, if you're taking a poop or something and you just want to watch. I mean, because literally within 20 minutes, I'm literally screaming my head off because it scares me so bad. But I browned my pants several times in that game. But then I kind of decided after doing, because literally I went Last of Us Left Behind, Last of Us Part 2, and then that. My nerves are shot.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I was like, you know what? I really wanted to get through, because I wasn't sure what to expect with the Ghost game, right? So I was like, I really want to get through. I figured it was going to be a quick play to get through the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider game or whatever. That game has scared the crap out of me a couple times. And I'm like, come on. Give me a break. Give my nerves a break, man.
Yeah, they do a good job of setting up, a lot of tight spaces and jump scares.
Yeah.
In those, yeah.
It's fun. I mean, I'm having a good time. I don't know if you ever played through the Shadow of Tomb Raider or not. But I had a good time. What is that? What? I don't want to watch something.
Okay.
I don't want to poop myself. What is it?
Well, it's just that game I was telling you about last time.
What is it?
Deadly Premonition. It's not a big deal.
Oh. Well, show it to me later.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
It was just another example of, the interesting direction that Nintendo has gone into.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm very impressed with what they're what they're doing.
Basically, like a murder mystery.
So, yeah. And that's the other game on my list right now is Detroit Become Human.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to play that. That's on there now. I got so many games, but
you have a stack of shame is what you have.
I have a stack of shame. That's a good way to put it. That is a really good way to put it.
You should be ashamed of yourself that you have this stack of video games.
It's so ridiculous
that you have not played.
88 hours later. So anyway, and I also have like Animal Planet on my Switch Lite that I want to get through. Dark Souls is out there. I do.
Animal Planet.
Or Animal Crossings.
There's an Animal Planet video game?
Animal Planet. Whatever. I'm just going to start butchering video game names.
I've been crossing animals for a couple months now. I'm in Animal Crossing.
Legally?
And that game's awesome. Like, they just had a summer update come out a couple weeks ago where you can now swim in the ocean.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. So, if you do the update, is that game online, or is there an online component?
Yeah, you can. Can I
take it on a plane and play it on a plane?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could go fishing and farming all day long.
Okay.
And now swim in the ocean all day long.
Okay.
But yeah, you could do all that. I mean, unless there was like a Wi-Fi on the plane, I don't know if they have that these days.
Normally, even if there is, you normally can't
play video games.
It's not like it's there to. The free one is there to text.
But there's an airport on everybody's island, and you can take a plane from your airport to, like, if you were playing the game, you could fly to my island, or I could fly to yours.
You have to make friends at some point, right?
Yeah. You have to have like the friend code or whatever.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I haven't done that yet.
You would have to use either the Nintendo Switch app or like text it to me, like what your code is.
You'll have to show me how to do that at some point in time, because I think I have. I know on our Switch, I have your friend code applied.
Yeah.
I don't know if that carries over with accounts to the Switch Lite or not.
So Nintendo has a separate account that's not attached to any device. You just have like a Nintendo of America account.
Gotcha.
And I've had it for years, and they used to have a star system. Like every game you bought, you would get like 20 stars or something like that.
Okay.
And depending on how many stars, you could go onto the Nintendo website and buy just basically junk. That you could trade these stars in for. Like I think I got like a screen cleaner, like a cloth screen cleaner that had like a bunch of like little Luigis all over it. Just like stupid stuff. And I think I had like a Princess Peach Nintendo DS carrying case. And they don't do this program anymore, but every game you got, you used to get stars, and you could trade the stars in for basically junk.
Okay. Basically junk.
But they did have some prizes but you would be spending a ton of money to get some of these bigger prizes.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I need to play it. I need to figure it out a little bit more. I've been bad about not playing Fortnite with the boy, mainly because of the damn sharks. He scared the crap out of me tonight, man. He was playing it and he landed on some shark island or something, and he literally told me, he goes, "Oh, there's no sharks out here," and there were 4 of them. And one of them jumped onto the damn island that he was the thing that he was standing on. It was like freaking Pac-Man, coming right at him. And I'm like, no, I cannot play this game.
Yeah, he was telling me that he got the Aquaman skin the other day.
He got the Aquaman skin. He was so excited about the Aquaman skin.
And that you had to do some quests.
Yeah.
To open up this skin. So I went home and did the quests. And one of them you have to get his trident, Aquaman's trident.
Okay.
And it's on this tiny little island up in like the top left corner of the map.
Uh-huh.
And I'm on this little island, and you have to like hold down a button for like a minute to collect this trident. I'm not kidding you. I had 3 different sharks jump out of the water at me while I'm trying to get this trident.
No, I would poop myself.
That game, it's effectively right now a horror game.
Yes. There's no way, man.
Because of those sharks.
I cannot play that game right now.
And they have these bots that are in like these swarms. It's like these swarms of NPCs.
Frankly, the NPC bots are the only guys I can kill in that game.
Those stupid things, they drive me bonkers.
They drive me bonkers, but they're the only ones I can kill. I can't kill a normal player. I can kill all of those guys. The bots I got. A normal dude that all of a sudden builds like, the freaking, Sears Tower or whatever. I'm like, what the hell? Like I cannot compete with that 12-year-old. Yeah. Sorry, can't do it. But bots, take me out some bots, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way when it comes to building in that game. I'm like, okay, now I want to build, and it takes me like 60 seconds to get one wall.
My favorite is when Jackson forgets that I don't know how to do it, and he ends up building me into a box, and then I can't get out. Like he has built himself a staircase, but because of the way he built himself the said staircase, I am locked in a box. And I'm like, how do I get out of said box? Please create a door. I'm like, what? How do you do that?
Exactly.
How do they create a door?
I can barely build a wall.
What the hell? Stupid game, man. It's
just like construction in real life.
I can't do it. Exactly. I do not have that talent.
Yeah.
I do not have that talent. Anyway, so I'm gonna finish Tomb Raider, and then I'm gonna move on to Ghost. I think is my next one. I
highly recommend it. It's fabulous.
The thing is because I've been streaming, so many people are streaming Ghost. I'm just like, I don't want to get lumped in with all of those. Mm-hmm. Like I would rather be playing something a little bit off that nobody else is playing right now in case somebody wants to watch that. Which is why the PT was a lot of fun, and then Tomb Raider now. And so I'm thinking again, that's why I'm almost thinking about, okay, do I go do, I don't want Ghost to get too far away from me, but then it's like, do I go do Detroit Become Human, right? Because I don't think that game will be terribly long.
Don't know. Never played it. Don't know anything about it.
There were a couple games that were free that I downloaded, and it wasn't a game. Well, it was a game, but it wasn't. God, I'll have to look up what the name is. But it's a choose your own adventure movie. Have you seen this thing on the PlayStation Store?
I've played a couple that are like movies.
Weird.
The one I just recently played, they're like, some of them are first person shooters, and you play it as like a, but you don't actually have a gun. It's like a first person perspective. You go through this story. Like I just played one called Firewatch.
Okay.
Recently, and it's fairly short, fairly self-contained. You can do it in like 3 to 4 hours, but the entire time you're kind of creeped out because you're like this DNR guy out in the forest watching for forest fires, basically, and you're talking to somebody like at the next tower, the next Firewatch tower over. And she keeps, trying to like scare you and basically like saying, "Oh my gosh, there's somebody up in your fire tower right now. Get back there right now." So this whole time you're kind of like, you kind of think it's a scary game, but by the end it's not really. It's just kind of like this kind of crazy guy that lives out in the woods.
Okay.
And
it's crazy out in the woods scares me.
Well, but by the end this guy's harmless.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole time you're kind of creeped out, thinking there's some kind of weird alien conspiracy going on out in the woods. But it's like a little movie. They're cool.
Nice.
But there's one that had Rami Malek in it that was really good.
Really?
Until Dawn. It's a horror game.
No.
It's like a choose your own adventure horror movie.
No kidding.
It has quick time events. So every once in a while you gotta hit the square button, hit the triangle or whatever to get away from the monster.
Right.
But yeah, Rami Malek's in it before he got big all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But yeah, Until Dawn. And now because of the success of Until Dawn, they're doing like 5 other horror. I don't think they're called Until Dawn games, but they're like this. It's the same company. They're doing like 5 of them. But it's how I was talking like the body horror subgenre.
Right.
Each one is a different subgenre of horror.
Okay.
And I think the last they did one that was like you're stuck on a boat out in the ocean, and there's the Until Dawn one. They're like in a cabin in the woods, and there's these crazy monsters out in the snow-covered woods.
Nice.
I can't remember what the next one is. I think they might be doing like a circus one or something. But they keep doing like all these subgenres of horror, and I've just played the original. I haven't played the other ones, but I recommend it.
I'm super stoked about this.
So if you want to keep your horror theme going,
I know
check out Until Dawn.
It's a love-hate relationship with horror games. I love them. And then I hate them because they make me poop my pants.
Did you play Resident Evil 7?
I did not. And I was getting ready to say, I'm really excited about Resident Evil 8 coming out for the PS5.
7 would be a fun one to watch somebody do on Twitch.
I thought that was all in VR.
No, it's not in VR. It's all in first person.
Okay.
And you're kind of stuck in this hillbilly cabin. And there's a ton of jump scares. Because you're like crawling under the floorboards, and all of a sudden this big giant hillbilly punches through the floor.
Oh my God. It doesn't look that much. 8, from what it sounds like, 8 doesn't sound that much different than that.
I think they did a really good job with 7. Fans responded to it really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they
because I thought
stuck in that direction for a while.
What was the one that I thought what they had done recently was just go back and redo all their old ones. Like
they have been. That's what they've been doing lately. They re-released 2 and they just re-released 3, Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Okay. They did complete remakes.
Gotcha.
Of those. I mean, it's continuing the trend of video game remakes, which we hit on with the Final Fantasy VII remake, obviously, and I think we even talked about the Zelda remake that they did recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that they're continuing this trend of remaking these games from the 90s.
Right.
It's very interesting to me.
90s were a great year for games, man. That was the year, baby. There was a lot of stuff happening in the 90s for video games. I mean, frankly, what they're doing now, I mean, the way video games look nowadays is insane.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima looks incredible.
That's the thing. Like the stuff I've seen on it looks beautiful.
And the samurai in general had such vibrant colors. They had like these, very bright yellows and teals and reds as their colors for their samurai clans and armor. That I don't want to play it in the Kurosawa mode. It's really cool. Right. It's really cool, but it's so vibrant and colorful.
It's almost a second playthrough. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's an option as a second playthrough kind of thing. That Tomb Raider game, I didn't even know. I must have got it because I got a early, like pre-ordered or something back in the day when it came out. But I can play through the entire game as Lara Croft from Tomb Raider 2, polygon boobs and all. Like it's funny. Weird looking, and it was funny. Somebody in the chat was like, "Do it," whatever. And I played for probably 10 minutes with her like that, and I was like, "I can't." Like it looks ridiculous.
I did the same thing with the Kurosawa mode. I turned it on for about 10 minutes, enjoyed it, but ultimately I'm like, the lip movement is in English. I'm gonna have to watch it in English and in color and it looks amazing.
They didn't. All it basically is a skin, right? And so they didn't animate her mouth when you're as polygon Lara Croft, right? So it's like when she's like doing the cutscenes, her head's just bouncing back and forth and like just shaking and weirdness ensues, and it's just. It's too. I couldn't take it seriously. Like I couldn't get into. I was literally laughing at the game, and I probably shouldn't have been. Like there were serious moments that they were talking about, but you couldn't do it with polygon Lara Croft. Bouncing around, it's just dumb. Anyway, so
square hands.
Square hand. I mean, she's got square hands, holds her guns. Whatever. I just remember those old games. I loved Tomb Raider. I still love Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I like what they've done. I like how they ripped off the Batman Arkham games for a couple of Tomb Raider games. I love that style of play that they originated with those Arkham games.
Yeah,
it's a great kind of over the shoulder third person perspective. It's just a really cool way to play games. It kind of gets you really into the character.
Sure.
Like you actually feel like the character
cool.
At a lot of points in the game. And I really like that. However, I could not play the original Tomb Raider games. They were unplayable to me.
I loved those.
But I could watch you play them.
Tomb Raider 1 and 2,
I didn't mind watching you play.
Those are my games, baby.
But every time I tried to play, I just felt they were wonky. I couldn't handle it because I was used to playing, smooth 3D games like Mario 64.
Right. Very, very big difference between Mario 64 controls versus the boxy nature.
But they were contemporaries. They were games that were at the same time,
right?
On
absolutely
competing systems,
right? You had 64 and you had original PlayStation.
Yeah, and I was just used to the smooth 3D animation and the 3D worlds
and vibrant colors and everything. This was dark and dreary
of the 64.
Yeah, and then Tomb Raider was literally the polar. The game was literally the polar opposite of
Mario
in every sense. Mm-hmm. It really, really was. And whatever, that was what PlayStation. I mean, they kind of had a little. I can't even call Crash Bandicoot like a Mario knock because it really wasn't. Because that game was so linear. It felt like that felt more like a Donkey Kong game as opposed to a Mario game.
Yeah, a side-scrolling platformer.
Yeah, but you were behind. Crash Bandicoot. You were behind him.
Okay.
That game was. I know some people like that. Yeah, the hell with that game.
It's called like a free running.
Yeah,
a free runner.
Because you run forward and you have to jump. You have to basically platform from behind.
They put out a ton of those games. On the iPhones when the iPhones first came out.
Right.
There's one of those free run games all over the place.
What's the game called? Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank. Yeah.
That's one of the new.
That was PS2, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of their new big games coming out. Release games coming out for the PS5. And did you watch any of the PS5 release stuff?
No.
Oh my God.
No, not yet. I read a little bit about the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
I'm curious about that because that game seems to be like I'm not sure what that game is yet.
They're saying it's going to be a full game, but a lot of it's going to be like the same world as the Spider-Man on PS4.
Right. That's what I'm just not sure what that game is.
So I think it's kind of like a half step, like a half game. Like the world's already built. They're just putting Miles Morales and a different story in there with his Venom shock powers.
Right. They showed off this Ratchet and Clank game, and the whole purpose, I believe, of them showing it off was how quickly it could render new environment. The system could render new environments because literally one of the points of the game is that you can go through warps that take you into different worlds, literally just falling through. And so as you're falling, it just literally just renders a whole new environment, and just shows you the raw power of what that PlayStation 5 is going to be able to do, where all of a sudden loading games or loading times is almost a thing of the past. That's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. That's going to be super cool. I think we're not going to know what to do with ourselves. I mean, loading, when you boot up a game or you go to another area or whatever, that loading screen has always become our bathroom break, our water break, whatever, snack break. Not going to have it. I feel bad for all those people that spent all that time, spent all these years developing loading screens. that poor kid's out of a job with the PlayStation 5. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that'll be awesome.
Anyway, what do you think about our first live stream, man?
It's been fun.
One of these days when we get more viewers than just 3, we'll actually do we have 3 viewers. I don't know who you are right now, but thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
When we get more, we'll actually do a Q&A session, and maybe people can interact and ask us questions about things, and we can discuss. We want to discuss things. We never really go into a podcast with much of an idea of what we're even going to talk about. Sometimes we do. Like I knew I wanted to talk about the other week about film scores, and then before that I had the idea about doing the movie calendar. Right. But really, other than that,
I knew I wanted to talk about The Five Bloods.
Sure.
Because I was so blown away by it.
That's good.
When I watched it yesterday.
But yeah, so hopefully we'll get more people to continue watching. And I think we'll make this a normal thing, and we'll keep changing it up and depending on how things go. And I like the convenience of doing it here, but I really, at some point in time, I really want to go just kind of do this from my office downtown. I just think the environment's a lot makes for a lot better background than this. But hey, maybe this will resonate with people, and they'll be like, "Cool, I want to be in the clubhouse. That place looks just creepy enough for me to enjoy." Love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check it out and see what the backgrounds look like.
You have paper towels behind your head.
Awesome.
Because that's, appropriate.
Yeah.
And some power tools. A Mickey Mouse. I see a Mickey Mouse tag.
I don't have any makeup on, so I'm probably getting oily. I probably need to borrow one of those paper towels. Wipe my brow.
Nice. All right. So where can the kids find you, sir, on social media?
Yeah, great question. I am on Twitter at the Rut Legend.
The Rut Legend on Twitter. And you can find me on Twitter at Zach M. Rutledge, and also on Twitch, which hopefully you're watching right now on Twitch at Zach M. Rutledge. All right, my man. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you for doing the live stream and wearing pants. I really appreciate all of it, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace out.
Peace out, folks.